meeting. Before we get started, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Jackson. I got to see you in Anything Goes, and wow, we are so proud. That was amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well done. Really well done. Mr. Bechtold?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I would like to welcome Dr. Sharon Schaefer, our new assistant to the superintendent for teaching and learning, to the committee. So we are thrilled to have Dr. Schaefer join us. She brings a wealth of knowledge with her, having served as Director of Curriculum and Instruction, K-12 for the Manheim Township School District. She is an accomplished educational leader, and we are excited to have her leading our district-wide teaching and learning efforts. As part of the transition, Dr. Schaefer and I intend to place some musical chairs next month, and she will be leading April's curriculum committee meeting. So welcome, Dr. Schaefer.
Welcome, Dr. Schaefer. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Second, I am excited to publicly congratulate Dr. David Weidlich. Unfortunately, we're going to get to bring him up here and hear from him later this evening, maybe get some autographs. But Dr. Weidlich was named one of 3 national finalists for the 2026 National Middle Level Principal of the Year by the National Association of Secondary School Principals. It comes as no surprise to anyone that knows Dr. Weidlich that he's in the running for this honor. He is a student-first educational leader who deeply cares about the faculty, staff, and students under his care. And we all couldn't be happier for Dr. Weidlich, so congratulations, Doc. Lastly, I wanted to bring the committee's attention to a future technology presentation that will be coming at either the April or May Curriculum Committee meeting. Our current device at the high school, the Surface Go, is no longer being manufactured. And so that requires us to identify, I know, see all the sad faces. This requires us to identify some comparable replacement for student use, and our technology team has been diligently at work evaluating multiple alternative devices to determine what the best option may be to meet our instructional needs. They're going to be looking at performance expectations for the devices, durability standards, cost parameters, licensing needs for applications and management tools, and the level of technical support and maintenance needed for these types of devices. So the district plans on conducting student and teacher surveys to learn more about the needs that we've got, as well as our bring your own devices that students are currently using, how teachers design instruction in a mixed device environment, and how BYO devices impact classroom instruction, workflows, and learning experiences. So we are all excited for Dr. Hand and his team to come. Again, they'll be coming in April or May to provide us an update on and recommendation on the insights they received and the devices that we're looking to move forward with as a district. And that is all I have for today.
Okay. Public comment. Do we have any here in person? I understand we have one recorded, and Mr.
Yes.
Bechtold, you're going to...
Yes, so we have one recorded public comment. At the beginning, the caller's name and town were muffled, so the district reached out to the caller, and they are aware that that I will be announcing their name now. So Mr. Art Sherry of St. David's is the caller that we will be playing now.
With gratitude. I love this district. My 4 siblings and I attended Radnor schools from kindergarten through 12th grade. I have nieces, nephews, neighbors, and friends currently learning and teaching in these classrooms. I've also had the privilege of substituting at every Radnor school and in every grade level, and some memories from these classrooms stay with me. For instance, 3 years ago, I was substituting for a class the day before midterm exams. The chemistry teacher never showed up, and there was no lesson plan left behind. The students were incredibly stressed. Many of them felt like their entire future was riding on that exam. Some told me they hadn't slept in days. Many were driving to school severely sleep deprived, which we know is incredibly dangerous. Watching those students, that they made me stop and ask a simple question. Are we giving our students enough space in their day to get relax, breathe, and be? Students spend about 7 hours a day in school. That doesn't include commuting, athletics, activities, homework. Then they move from one obligation to the next without much time to reset their minds. And chronic stress doesn't just affect learning, it affects our physical body, our sleep, our immune systems, and overall well-being. Students need time to rest, move their bodies, and connect with one another. Moments of reflection, play, and connection are not distractions from learning. They are necessary for learning to transpire. I also want to share something I witnessed at Green Elementary School. Students were gathering signatures from their classmates, petitioning for more recess time. Nearly every student in the school signed that petition. They were organized, respectful, and hopeful. They believed their voices mattered. I was so incredibly proud of them. Their requests didn't lead to change, yet. But I want those students to know something tonight. I heard your message loud and clear, and I got your back, my friends. Speaking of civic engagement, I grew up watching it at home. My mother served on the school board. I remember watching her stand alone against 8 other board members and the superintendent to keep the middle school in Wayne. It took a lot of courage, and it taught me something. Sometimes doing the right thing and standing up even when it isn't easy. With that spirit in mind, I'd like to suggest a few simple ideas for the curriculum committee to consider. First, increase the time between classes to 5 minutes. At RMS, students have 2 minutes between classes. Not enough time to move around through crowded hallways, calmly and safely. Give students time to get a drink of water, use the bathroom, say hi to a friend, stretch their bodies, and take a mini break before the next class begins. They shouldn't feel rushed through every moment of their day. Their entire day shouldn't just be doing. They need moments to be kids, to laugh, be silly, move around, feel free. Second, provide 30 minutes for lunch and 30 minutes for recess, rather than combining them into one rushed 30-minute period. Students deserve the time to eat mindfully, move their bodies, and connect with friends. Third, expand language and cultural offerings. It is my understanding Radnor currently offers Latin, German, French, and Espanol, but no Asian or African languages. It's 2026. Our students are not strictly of European descent. We should have opportunities to explore the languages and cultures of the entire world. If we give young people the time to rest, the time to play, and the opportunity to explore, they will grow into thoughtful, healthy, and compassionate adults. And judging by the students I've met in these schools, the future of this community is very bright. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to 3.01, the minutes and review of the minutes. Was there any changes or good? Okay. And now on to our agenda items. And Mr. Bechtold, talk to us about some trips.
Yes, we have a couple trips that we're asking to be moved forward to the full board for approval. So we have a couple ratifications on here, ski snowboard trip, and 2 swimming, what I'll call playoff trips, where we had a number of student athletes that qualified for the postseason. And then we've got some upcoming trips, baseball trip to Florida, a girls lacrosse trip to Florida, FBLA going to Hershey for the state tournament, and then we also have the indoor color guards annual trip to Wildwood.
Great. Any thoughts on trips? Good. Okay. Moving on to our special ed update. Thank you.
All right, and we're welcoming up Ms. Karen Miller, our Director of Special Ed and Student Services, and she's going to speak about the special ed plan.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see all of you tonight. This current school year, we have been charged by PDE to conduct our 3-year special education plan. So the last time you heard about our plan was in 2023 with our previous director, Mrs. Jannie Lesage. And I'm coming here tonight excited as your new director this year to be able to present this plan. We can go to the next slide. Okay, so every 3 years, we are mandated by the Pennsylvania Department of Education to assess and look at our special education programming. This is the current document that will be uploaded and is attached to tonight's agenda. I'm going to shorten this and make sure we don't go through all of this because it's very much in depth. But the special education plan allows school districts to make sure that we are compliant with appropriate services for our students, make sure that we understand our district resources, professional development, educational programs, and look at our data to provide free and appropriate public education. The three-year plan includes looking at compliance and accountability, ensuring that our district meets the federal and state mandated special education requirements, strategic programming outlining the current services that we have right now here in the district, K to 12, making sure that we have a continuum of services with all of the aspects of Chapter 14 and special education. We also look at our resources. What do we have regarding staffing, administrative staffing, what we have around the resources that we allot our funds for. We also look at our professional development. We're making sure that we have detailed trainings and for our staff. We also look at our parent trainings to ensure that they are part of the IEP team and part of our community. And we also make data-driven decisions based, again, on the students' needs and the district resources. We had a steering committee that's part of this plan that was held on February 5th. And thank you, Ms. Girton, for being our school board member on that team. We met for about 2 hours that Thursday night, and the team included our school board member, our Radnor school administration team. We had a bunch of assistant principals that came. We had special education teachers, general education teachers, and parents, all from the elementary, middle school, and high school level. They were able to understand what this plan is, to hear all of the programming that we have, and to give us feedback. Next slide. The following indicators that we need to follow in this plan are here that are listed. We are able to look at our suspension, expulsion, disproportionality, and disproportionality representation by disability and race. I'm happy to say over the last 3 years, we have fallen under that mark. We have been able to service and make sure that our children are receiving the appropriate services based on disability and race. This plan also allows us to evaluate our timely evaluations. Our school psychologists and special education teachers are on a very strict timeline. As soon as an evaluation report goes out, we have calendar days to get all of these documents. We also look at our secondary transition, our indicator 13, to ensure that once students turn 14, we are starting to plan for transition, whether that's post-secondary, employment, or an independent living. We look at our educational environments. We look at our classrooms. Part of this plan has every single classroom that a special education teaches in the building. We have our square footage, and we have how many students are in that classroom. We also look at our parent involvement, again, making sure they are part of the team. We look at our early childhood transitions. We are currently looking at our early intervention students that are coming in now, and I've had the privilege of meeting with every single family and welcome them into the district. Again, we look at our post-school outcomes. That would be our graduation rate, and if we had any dropout rates, and again, our transition plan. We also look at resolution solutions and mediations. Those are 2 factors that parents have as their right when they're looking to either mediate a concern or come together for a resolution. Other areas that are a part of this plan that we need to look at is our non-residents that are within district boundaries. As some of you know, we have the St. Edmunds Home for children, and they come from all over the state, all over the country, and we are the LEA, the local education agency, which means our team is in charge of ensuring that that these students have free and appropriate public education. Currently, we have 23 students, and as of an hour ago, we're up to 24 that we have, so we're happy to welcome them. At the present time, we do not have any incarcerated students. If we had any students, which we've had in the past, we again make sure that we're working with that institution as the LEA, ensuring that they are continuing with their education. We looked at the least restrictive environment. That's a common term that you hear in special education, LRE. I'm happy to say that we are above what the state level is in terms of keeping students in the least restrictive environment. We also look at our universal practices for academic and social emotional. Again, going back to our MTSS team, our multi-tiered systems of supports, and also looking at our SEL Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 supports. Our positive behavior supports through our certified, I'm using a lot of acronyms, board-certified behavior analysts and our registered behavior technicians, and also the curriculums that we have to support them, along with our emotional support teachers. We also evaluate our intensive interagency support that we have. If we have students that are receiving outside supports, we make sure that we are including them through consents with support of our school social workers, and then allowing us to drive any data-driven decisions. We look at our educational profiles. We had every single special education teacher fill out it's called a teacher verification form. We look at the number of students on their caseload and how much support that they're giving, and we evaluate those numbers. We again look at our professional development training for our teachers and continue to involve that and our parent trainings. The next steps, we had our steering committee that was after, presented after we had all of this written. We're presenting tonight to the curriculum board. And after tonight, this document will lie in the administration building in the lobby, and our families and community members are able to come and view the report and give any feedback if possible. And then it will be board approved on April 21st at the end of this month. This is due by May 1st, so we're good with our timing. And then once it's approved, it'll be on our district website to view. We will then again review in 2029. This plan also leads to our audit, which is next year. We will be audited by the state. They come into our school district and just pull random documents and make sure that we're following those timely evaluation dates and the least restrictive, and making sure that all those supports are there.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller. Wow, that is a lot. And as fortunate enough to serve on that committee on that day, the work that you and your team have put into this plan is certainly comprehensive. I just had one question, and anyone else, was do you feel that there's anything outstanding that you need to have this plan be as complete as you see fit?
Yeah, I think the ongoing need or ongoing collaboration that I continue want to work, what I would like to work with is with our teaching and learning department to ensure that we are working cohesively with our curriculum, making sure that we understand the supports in Tier 1 and Tier 2, and making sure that we understand that foundation to provide least restrictive environment. I always want to evaluate and look at the professional development we're giving our teachers. That's not just special education teachers, and I'm looking at you, Mrs. Peterson, as a general ed teacher. Our general education teachers gave us feedback on what they specifically need to support our students. So that is always at the forefront of my mind. And of course, the parent involvement and the parent trainings. We have a couple parent trainings coming up before the end of this school year based on needs that I'm hearing from our staff.
Thank you. Anybody else have comments or questions?
Sorry, quick one. Clarification on the, I think it was the first slide, you said, I'm unhappy. Did you say I'm happy to report? It was about, I think you said I'm happy to report.
I'm happy.
Under the level. It was the first, it was about, go the next slide. Yeah, no, next. I just.
Oh, you're looking there. Okay, I'm looking.
Sorry. I guess it was around suspension, expulsion.
No, I'm
by
happy to report.
Okay.
I'm happy to report.
Okay. I
That
was
could have
like,
just been
wow,
like
that went really
my nervous
fast, and I
voice,
was
maybe.
like, okay.
No, I'm
Okay.
actually really happy to report that because we do
what I-
need to look at that, right?
Okay.
And we,
I thought you blew
we-
by it way too fast if you were unhappy.
No,
so-
I'm sorry, and I know I talk
Okay.
fast. And I mean, and the principals that are sitting behind me, we always are in communication about suspensions and discipline, and making sure, first of all, what's right by the child, but also what do we need to do to support the IEP as well.
Right. And then my question, in terms of the parent trainings,
Mm-hmm.
how is the participation there?
Well, we had It varies, right? You have to meet the parents where they are, depending on the topic. This past October, coming in as the new director, I did an overview of our parent night, and I brought multiple team members from school psychologists, social workers, special ed teachers, and we did a whole overview of our programming's K to 12, and we had about 75 parents
great.
come. So that was really, really great. K to 12, we had a survey that first of all led to that, and then we were able to provide those results, explain our programming, and then be able to get feedback afterwards, and it was very positive.
So they understand the
They
resources up
understand-
there.
They understand the
Okay.
resources,
Terrific.
yes.
Thank you.
That's it. So before I leave, I do want to thank my team that's sitting behind me. We have our Assistant Director, Dr. Danny Faustin, and our Supervisor, Miss Kate Jumper. And I just want to say it's been a pleasure working with them the last 7 months as our team has come together. They are part of this. They allow me to lead, but also making sure that our students and teachers and parents, receive the support that they need, along with our administrative assistants in our office. So I would like to thank all of them tonight.
It's absolutely obvious that you
Yeah.
dovetail and work together from that presentation and from the meeting that we had. I really appreciate your whole team. Thank
Great.
you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right. At this time, I'm going to bring Dr. McNamara up. We're going to talk about a proposed high school Keystone testing schedule, and we'll also have Mr. Presley come up as well, since he is spearheading the Keystones.
Good evening, everybody. Well, it's a lot louder than I thought it was going to be. First of all, I want to start off by saying I do apologize for not wearing green, okay, because all day the students were criticizing me in the hallways. I was doing some observations today in the classrooms, and they said, Dr. Mack, why are you not wearing green? I said, I'm going to be honest with you, I totally forgot. And then my wife reminded me as I'm leaving this morning, so I just want to put that out on the table first. So we do want to propose a new kind of schedule for our Keystone exams. Historically, we have run Keystone exams. These are end-of-the-year exams for biology, literature, and Algebra 1, and we always run them in May. And usually it comes right after our AP testing. Traditionally, they have been paper exams, and traditionally we have run Keystones where we are doing it in person without we have a modified schedule, but everybody is school is operating as usual, just under a modified schedule. We are proposing something a little different this year that we would appreciate the board's support with. We are proposing, so let me backtrack. We have 6 days of testing. We have 2 days of testing for algebra, 2 days of testing for biology, 2 days of testing for literature. That is 6 days total plus 3 days of makeup exams, which offer nothing in terms of a modified schedule. This year, we are asking supports and proposing a plan to put together 6 days in the very beginning of the day of asynchronous, so that we can have our students test in classrooms versus the large group setting, which is the cafeteria, it is the back gym. These are areas that are not very conducive for test taking. We are asking to do asynchronous days for non-testers where they are at home doing work that our teachers will provide, and we are working out with our transportation department to have them bust in later in the day so our young people can focus on these major statewide exams. Also, that they are, for the first time, online that we are using. We have traditionally done paper exams for everyone, but this is the first year for from here to Pittsburgh that we are doing online, and they're going to be on their devices. And we're working with Dr. Hand with making that happen. But for this to really roll out the right way, we believe they need to be in the proper placement, which is the regular classrooms. They need to have the power, in terms of outlets, et cetera. They need to have the right environment to be able to take these exams. And so we are asking the board, we are proposing that we do 6 days of asynchronous, where the students do come in late to provide enough proctors, for our students to take these exams, the placement and the power. I also want to mention that we do overlap with AP exams, which are also online. And so our AP exam takers are going to be in the back gym while we have our regular testers hopefully in regular classrooms. We know that this is a big ask, and we know that this is not what we have been traditionally doing. However, we have also done our research, and we found that we're actually in the minority that are not bringing kids in late. We have I have a chain going with our Central Lee principals from Lower Merion to Harriton to Pencrest to Haverford to Garnet Valley to Springfield, and the list goes on. They are all doing the same model that we're doing, where they're bringing their kids in late. So this is something that we're not used to, but in a nutshell, that's what we're asking and we're proposing. And we believe this is going to be incredibly beneficial to our young people.
Okay, lots to, I'm sure, chew on. I don't even know where to begin with questions. Does anybody have a place to start?
I'd love to hear from the student if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, I feel like just looking at the schedules right now, I feel like this to me works a lot. I appreciate like, I think that having, especially if like other schools are doing it, I think it's good to jump onto that bandwagon. And I think that in terms of what you brought up about the outlets, I think that's like, just thinking about that, like in the cafeteria, I don't know how people would be able to like charge their devices. So I think that like with going to more technology, I feel like there has to be something done. And I feel like this sounds like a great way to do it.
And thank you, Jackson, for mentioning that. I will share that I believe that we have needed an overhaul, a facelift, if you will, for how we do Keystones for a long time running now. This is something that we have been looking to do for years, and now that we're fully online, this is the best time to do this, and that's why we're presenting it.
I would just like to say that the teachers are in 100% support of the delay. This has been a long time coming. And we are probably one of the last districts to even go this route for the 2-hour, for the asynchronous. A lot of other schools have been doing it for years and years and years, where they don't even have them as asynchronous. So I think this blends the both of the worlds, because we can still give those class periods, an assignment to do to keep them, up to date, where some schools just say kids can sleep in, and they're not actually doing any academics or being held to some academics. So I think this is such a nice blend between allowing the students that are in there to have a nice testing environment, especially for the Keystones, which are a state requirement. Having them in the classroom is a huge benefit than the cafeteria, because as Jackson said, it would just be a sea of extension cords. And I don't even know that we would even have enough room to put all the extension cords. Because I hate to say it, but the Surface goes do run out of power quickly. And so it is hard to charge them. Maybe that's why. But having them in the classroom with it being fully online is a huge benefit. And then if we have other classes in there, then they're also taking the Wi-Fi. So this way it does kind of clear the Wi-Fi a little bit to only having the test takers, which I think is a huge benefit. So teachers are in full support.
That is great to hear. Yeah, go ahead, Jackson.
Do you know, like off the top of your head, when do like the AP exams like finish? When's the last? Is that like
The 15th.
the 15th?
They overlap for a week.
Okay, got it. Because I was just thinking about like the classes that have AP exams later. Like I don't know, but maybe like from like the teacher perspective, maybe they don't want like their like last couple of days of instruction before the exam to like be asynchronous. That's just, I don't know, that's just a concern that came to the top of mind, but I
That's a good
don't
point.
I think it should be fine. But I don't know, from,
And Jackson, I appreciate your outlook on that. And so even before running this, we did meet with our chairs to to solicit feedback, to say, hey, what would you believe? Let's talk this out. Like, so even just before coming to the board, we solicited feedback from our teachers from a chair perspective, and they're very much, again, all in agreement.
So is this the first year where both Keystone and APs are online, digital? So
Yes. Yes. Between
that Radnor's doing?
yeah, Radnor. So there are districts in the past that have done it online. But now the state is completely like.
You're doing it this
yes.
way? Okay.
And honestly, if it wasn't, we may still be paper. I don't know, but we are in a position where we are forced to do this, and we just want to do what's right.
Well, thank you for, thinking this through before it got to May, and all of a sudden you're trying to problem solve, so.
Well, I want to thank Mr. Presley, and I know I've been speaking the whole time, but I want to thank Mr. Presley and Dr. Hand, and all of teachers who have provided feedback, because this is complicated, and it's complicated in other districts as well. So we're just trying to be outside the box thinking.
I was just going to add, and thank you both I know you've done a lot of hard work in looking at all the different options, and we did not. Well, the state allowed us to do the test online other years. This is the year we're forced that we have to do it online. Personally, I don't think it's the best testing conditions for students, and I think there's a lot of students that might actually excel and do better with the paper and pencil. So I think that's a bit of a shame that has gone away, and it does present a lot of challenges. And I just wanted to thank the high school administration for looking at all the different challenges and trying to problem solve and looking at what other districts started doing many years ago and that we were holding out. I would just ask that we really evaluate this year, that we look at how this worked and evaluate, and even from, not only, most importantly, the testing environment, but also we look at the, even the transportation and how we handle that, because a lot of districts, I've paid a little more attention to what's going on in my kids' district and how they handle the transportation, and there might be some things we want to look at as well.
How are we handling the transportation? Are the buses going to be at those hours?
Yeah, the buses will first drop off students around 8 o'clock, 8:10, and then the second wave will be for our other students. They'll roughly come in around 9:40ish, like around that time. So they'll get back to the school roughly around 10:10. So that allows our students to also receive breakfast in the morning as well, too. So there's 2 waves of breakfast for our students, the ones that are coming in the morning to get it. And then we also consider the fact that because of the time when the students are coming in, our cafeteria folks are starting to work on lunch, and there's not enough time. So we devised the plan of having it in an international cafe for our students to go upstairs and get that, and it relieves time from our students that are testing on the main floors. So
Seems like you've thought of everything. Is there anything that you feel needs support, or?
Yeah, just board approval. So that's the support that we need. And then, should it move forward and, and everyone is in agreement, then we will start our communication plan with the community, because we do know this is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only people that might not be happy is the parents, but, although, I do hear you, and I kind of like that idea of once you have the concern of the AP, like not being in the classroom for that instruction, the ones that have the APs a little later, but it also gives them study time at home. So, which I know is always, they're kind of starved for at that time when everything's busy. Again, I know this is complicated, and, I would also just say one, communication sooner than later to just prepare parents for just since it's 6 full days of an adjustment, but also thinking ahead, like when we evaluate this, I feel like so often when we have ideas of what we want to do with the students, we're time starved, right? We're time starved, and the teachers need the time in the classroom. So is this an opportunity then for something like service learning? Is this an opportunity to think out of the box for, some other initiative that we've wanted to do that we haven't had time, that might find a good place towards the end of the school year? So just, I know that's not for this year, but maybe looking ahead when we have the talk that we placehold that this might be an opportunity.
Without a doubt, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Presley and Dr. Mack. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Jackson.
Sorry, can I just ask one more quick question? Are the students who are not taking, who are taking the Keystones during those asynchronous periods, are they going to be responsible for like the work that that asynchronous work?
Well, technically for, like, say, for example, for our algebra students, right? Those students are already just being tested for that. So the teachers are just more so like review on different things and just preparing them for their finals eventually. So
Okay.
that's what that's for. But for our other students, no, yes, they are being prepared.
Okay.
Can I clarify one more thing? So is this also, we're talking about the Keystones, but we're also talking about AP tests, correct? Or no?
Yeah.
We're talking about Keystones, and during that window, because APs, we're still going to run the same schedule we run, so nothing's going to be modified. It's the overlap of when algebra starts, and that will be, that's right, yeah. That's right, it's 6
Okay.
days, so it's technically May 11th, May 12th, May 14th, May 15th, May 18th, and May 19th. There is the Wednesday, the 13th, is a regular school day.
Okay,
It's really just when we're offering the Keystones.
okay.
When do we anticipate communicating that schedule?
ASAP.
Okay, okay.
We already have a draft ready to go. We're just trying to cross our T's and dot our I's with everyone here. But yes, I mean, honestly, it'll be out ASAP.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, Mr. Bechtold, moving on to our achievement reports.
All right. So we have our middle school and high school teams here today, and they're going to come up and present. We can have our middle school team, who will be coming up first, that can come up and get settled. And this presentation will run similar in scope to the elementary presentation, with the caveat that we're going to have, based on the number of administrators, we're going to have the middle school go and present, and then we'll go through the highlights, their data, their areas for growth, and then we'll take questions from the middle school team. And then we'll bring the high school team up, and they'll go through theirs, and then we'll have a second question session for the high school team. So welcome, Dr. Weidlich, Dr. Kent, and Ms. Manukian. It's great to have the three of you here. I am going to skip ahead here. So a lot of these slides that are in the beginning of this presentation are identical to the January 20th Curriculum Committee presentation, where the elementary came in and presented their data. So any members of the community that are excited and looking forward to hearing slides 3 through 8, which I plan to skip, they can go back to the January 20th meeting and hear all the wonderful information there. I will highlight a couple things just so it helps provide context for the administrators as present. One of the things that I will highlight here is the annual report of district data and student achievement. This was attached or included as a document in the curriculum committee meeting. This is a wonderful resource for anybody in the community that's interested in looking at the district's data, and has a variety of different things in there. I will also highlight the PSSA and Keystone science scores. I'm struggling here with this non-mouse, this touchpad. The PSSA science scores, PDE applied for and was granted a waiver from the federal government to update their standards, the science standards, specifically the STEEL standards. So last year was the state beta testing the science questions, and so you will see areas throughout this presentation where you'll see math achievement, you'll see science, ELA achievement, and then there will be unavailable science, and that is because it was every district in the state of Pennsylvania did not get science scores last year. All right, and with that context, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Weidlich and his team.
All right. Well, good evening, and thank you for having us. So I'm anchored by Dr. Kent and Ms. Manukian, the house principals that I work alongside every day at the middle school. I would like to first start by saying thank you to the board, to Dr. Batchelor, to all central office for your continued support of the middle school. So we're going to go through the next couple of slides, and rather than read verbatim, we're just going to summarize. And if you'd like us to stop at any moment to clarify anything, please just let us know. So, Ms. Manukian.
We were tasked to come up with just 2 slides that showcase our highlights, and that was a difficult thing to work on, having it all just crunched up into 2 slides, but we made it into 4 categories. You'll see the first 2 here, climate and culture, and our student achievement and programming. And we all know that when we walk in our building, we feel the climate and culture pulsing through every classroom and through the hallways and the offices. We leave a mark where we go. Every student belongs to we have comprehensive programs like our web programs, our Girls Lead. We have Power Skill Acknowledgement Series a few times a year. We have staff and student spotlights and highlights all throughout the year. And we have a student development series, all that it makes for a positive and inclusive school culture. We also have high levels of student achievement, and that comes through consistent success through our refined MTSS programs. We have effective intervention programs that we've been making more and more robust every year. We have strong PSSA and Keystone results and achievements where we are surpassing state expectations for our school. And we're really proud of the teachers and the students and the success that they're showing. Next slide shows 2 categories of our social emotional learning and our student and community engagement. We continue to strengthen our student well-being and engagement through comprehensive focus of our SEL lessons that we have every day 8. We reinforce a safe and inclusive environment, and student development and belonging is something that we prioritize through not only our counselors but also through our teachers. We have a lot of student voice and participation, and you could see that through our expanded clubs that we have on campus, our athletics, our support groups. We have service opportunities that are weaved throughout our programming as well, and we celebrate our student achievements not only academically but in our arts and in our athletics and our co-curricular programs as well.
All right, so PSSA data. So one of the things that I do want to reinforce is the fact that the PSSA scores are a snapshot. So we are assessing kids every single day. We utilize various benchmarks, common assessments, local assessments, chapter exams, student feedback, staff feedback. So this is just one snapshot of how our students are performing. But however, based on the chart, there are several clear positive things that emerged. And the most significant is that our all-student group is performing exceptionally well, with over 87% of our students scoring proficient or advanced on the PSSAs, far above the statewide average, which was 49%, almost 50%. But even more impressively, this group has already surpassed the 2033 statewide goal of 81%, achieving future target performance nearly a decade early. The line graph reinforces this strength, showing consistently high performance for this group across multiple reporting years, and several individual student subgroups have demonstrated strong or improving trends over the past several years. Now, we did hit a slump around 2021, and I'm very proud to say that many of our student groups have displayed a rebound, signaling recovery and positive momentum after pandemic-related impacts. And overall, the data highlights strong instructional outcomes, high levels of academic achievement across multiple demographic groups, and a district performance pattern that significantly outpaces statewide results. So this is something that this slide is something that we are very proud about.
The next slide specifically highlights our mathematics and algebra results that reveal several strong positives. Most notably, again, the all-student group is performing at a very high level, with a 76.5% of students scoring proficient or advanced, far above the statewide average of 41.7%.
Impressively, this group is also already exceeding Pennsylvania's 2033 goal, as Dr. Weidlich mentioned, at 71.8%, demonstrating long-term readiness and strong instructional alignment that our teachers are providing. The trend lines reinforce the success that all student groups shows consistent strength over time, and several subgroups demonstrate encouraging growth patterns. Additionally, many student groups displayed a rebound after the pandemic. It's signaling renewed academic momentum following the disruptions that brought to our classrooms. Overall, the data reflects strong mathematical achievement, effective teaching practices, and a district performance level that significantly outpaces statewide results across multiple demographic groups in mathematics.
Okay. All right, now we're going to get to my favorite slide. And this is my favorite slide because it shows growth. And in math, PSSA math, our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students, as you can see, are in the very dark blue, as is Keystone Algebra. And our English language arts is an area that we are remaining vigilant with, and we are very focused on the 6th grade results from last academic year. So just in terms of growth, just so I can outline how growth is determined, and I'm going to do it in simplest of terms. The state identifies what we call an entrance score, and this entrance score is based on student past performance. And there is an exit score. So the exit score is an anticipated score, and that's where this growth standard is coming. This is how they're determining it. So, I've reached out to PDE, and we're not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure. I've not really received a clear understanding of how this anticipated exit score is determined, but nevertheless, this is how we determine growth. So, with that, like I said, we are really hyper-focused on English language arts. And, at RMS, we have demonstrated a strong data-informed approach to improving student achievement with specific focus on targeted instructional growth. And for 6th grade English language arts, when the scores came out, we became hyper-focused on specific anchors that identified as areas of collective need. So we really unpacked the results. We saw certain standards where our students did not perform, certain anchors that we really needed to hone in on. And we used detailed analysis of varied student groupings to better understand these performance trends. And as a group, and by group I mean administrators, our MTSS team, as well as all of our teachers, we identified varied performance groups as well as individual students and reported performance on anchors and developed plans to address them appropriately. So most recently I just met with some of our 7th grade teachers. All of our staff has identified as individual student results. So they're able to see across all anchors how our students are doing, not only from last year, the year prior. So, we really take this very, very seriously. But ultimately, across all tested subjects, our teachers are equipped with grade level, class level, as well as student level data to guide targeted instructional delivery, reinforcement, remediation. And I think what ultimately that does is that highlights a culture of reflective practice. We do not just rely on past performance. We want to continually move that pendulum. Good is the enemy of great. And that's kind of like what we're focused on. But the 6th grade English language arts, we have really buckled down on that. And the same thing with 8th grade. 8th grade was trending between the green and the yellow, and that is actually a growth area for us in comparison to last year. So I do want to celebrate that. But ultimately, what I really want to do is make sure that I acknowledge the outstanding teachers that we have, because seeing these types of scores in comparison to last year, I was really truly pleased with all of the work that they put in, and of course our kids. Our kids, once they get to April, it's a lot of testing for our kids. It really, really is. We look forward to this year. We are switching to everything being on the computer. So we have prepped them to the best of our abilities without overly prepping them, but they are ready to take this and ready to get rolling.
Dr. Weidlich, can I
Yes.
ask a quick question?
Of course.
As you mentioned, this is a snapshot, and before we get all crazy about a snapshot, I was wondering if, when you spoke with your staff and when they looked at this place for 6th grade especially, was it surprising?
It was incredibly surprising.
Okay, so were there areas where they thought, well, maybe this is how the data got skewed, or what kind of feedback was?
So, so one of the first things that I did, as a building principal, is I looked comparatively at other schools that performed similarly to us for sixth grade, because the first thing I'm like, is this something, maybe it was a test, was it like a type of test, was it what have you? And it was not. So one of the things that we did is we started to unpack our student groupings, our very high achieving kids, our middle of the road kids, our low performing students, our IAP students. We started to take a look at certain demographics. And even when you go back and you look at some of the trend lines, the majority of our subgroups were trending up. What I did find is we had about 20 to 25 students who scored about 100 points less than what their anticipated exit score was, and that did take that hit pretty hard. That could be for a variety of reasons. The area of growth that I found, through unpacking a lot of the data, was our middle of the road kids, our middle of the road students who, they just didn't perform based on what this growth standard was. Now they may have performed proficient, or some of them even performed even advanced. However, they didn't meet the standard of growth that the state identified. So, and I think that's also something very important, right? So we're going to have a high percentage of proficiency in these tested subjects. It's just that based on what the state is saying, how much growth that students should make within a year. That's it's a question of proficiency in advanced versus growth.
So there's several factors.
There's a lot of factors
that could have.
It could be. I mean. And I'm just saying factors in general, right? So it could be how the students are that day. It could be the testing environment. It could be sometimes kids just skip over a question. I mean, we're working with 11, 12, and 13-year-olds, and as much as we like to make sure that we ready them to the best of our ability, I mean, you're sitting for a 60-minute test, and you get to a writing prompt, and you might not just write to everything that you need to. You just want to get finished. So there's a lot of factors. Not excuses, right? We are super vigilant with them, but we look forward to seeing what those sixth graders last year do this year, because we were super targeted. The seventh grade teachers really got very granular and looking to see, what are some of these areas that, utilizing a lot of the platforms that the district has provided us through IXL, our STAR benchmarks, and we're It just wasn't out there as an outlier. We didn't do anything about it. We started attacking this once the PSSA results came back. So,
thank you. Anybody else?
Sorry. I have one other. So, will they be tested again this year? I mean, so this score is from. Do we have another score to benchmark this year, or will you not know till next year's data comes out?
So, I mean, we have like our nationally normed assessments we have, but so the sixth graders, so what I'm presenting on this year, this sixth grade cohort are now seventh graders. So it is kind of like apples to oranges, but if anything, we'll be able to see what their growth was. So their entrance score is based on how they performed in sixth grade. So we're hoping that we're going to see a lot of movement in this colored scale. So this is just our PVOS summary. I can't see that well. But it is pretty self-explanatory, our academic growth score in comparison to the state. So, and as Mr. Bechtold mentioned, we did receive a science waiver. So the state scores for science, they were not. Thank you. They were not there. But again, there is a meeting statewide growth standard of 70%, and that is across all the curricular areas that are assessed. And we are in the green and in the blue, which is positive for our school. Dr. Kent.
Thank you, Dr. Weidlich. Good evening, everyone. So this slide, we are looking at our 8th grade students who are taking Algebra 1 and the comparison of their data with the Algebra 1 Keystone exam and the 8th grade PSSA. Our 8th grade students who take Algebra 1 have the most tests that they have to take because they take 3 PSAs plus the Keystone exam. The Keystone exam score that they earn does not go towards our building level score. It actually gets banked until those students go to the high school. So our students were 100% proficient, as you can see, and most of them being advanced. Since the Keystones came into existence in 2012, this is something that many districts have struggled with. Their students doing better on the course exam that they're sitting in compared to being tested on something that they are not currently being taught. So, it's definitely, you can see improvement over 1 year's time in terms of how students are performing on the 8th grade PSSA. But it is something that we continue to focus on. But again, we're dealing with 8th graders. Dr. Weilich and I each have one at home. Mm-hmm. And for them to focus on something other than what they're being taught in class, that's tough for the buy-in sometimes. But, our students overall are doing a very, very good job in the course they're sitting in, and they're still performing well on the 8th grade PSSA. We do see some room for improvement.
And that's something that needs to get fixed, and everybody has shared over the years the problems with this. We shouldn't be testing kids on an 8th grade PSSA and a Keystone exam. They should be those students taking the Keystone should just do that. But until the state catches up, that's what we have to do.
Correct.
Go ahead, Dr. Weilich. All right. Give me 1 second.
22.
22. All right. So, we will continue to strengthen our culture of belonging by supporting, number one, relationship building among our students and our staff, while also expanding our staff capacity to analyze and use data to inform instructional decisions. One of the things that I never want to be is data rich and information poor, so the data that we gather, we act upon. Targeted supports will address building level needs through interventions such as our drop-in centers, our IXL usage, STAR benchmark data, and varied instructional programs, but nothing trumps high quality, rigorous classroom instruction that takes place every single day that is grounded by Pennsylvania standards. That is paramount. Our instructional focus will remain tightly aligned, like I just said, to grade-specific standards, guided by evidence and trends identified in the 24-25 PSSA results. I've already mentioned a little bit about some of the areas of growth, but let me get a little granular with everybody. Most specifically, in grade 6, the areas of growth identify targeted priorities in both literacy as well as mathematics, In ELA, focus areas include strengthening language and composition skills, as well as deepening understanding of key ideas and details in literature, and improving students' abilities to analyze craft and structure within literary texts. In math, our focus is continued on number systems, expressions and equation, and statistics and probability. And the reason for these targeted areas are these are the areas where our students are not performing as highly as we believe that they can.
This next slide highlights in 7th and 8th grade our growth areas, and as well they are delineated by subject matter, as you can see. And when you have such a high quality staff as we have, I say this in the graduate courses I teach all the time, often the answers are in the room. So when we put these educators together to start to address these problems and solve and come up with our solutions, we have been very successful in doing that. And so once we identify this and did identify this, obviously this was late summer that we started looking at this last year. And moving into the next slide, Mr. Bechtold, is so what are we going to do about it? And that is really the important part of this once you identify what we're doing. And we are very, very fortunate with Dr. Weidlich's leadership, the MTSS framework that we've been able to establish at the middle school, and that's a key component to our next steps. It's certainly not all of it, but it is a major part of it. Continuing to make sure our teachers are comfortable using the data that they have and using the resources that they have, such as Linkit, our data warehouse, and making sure that the assessments we're using, the common assessments that we're using, or quality assessments, because we know we don't want the state testing to be the first time students are being challenged in assessment. So using the data from those common assessments, making sure our Tier 1 practices are the best that they can possibly be for all students to receive, so that hopefully our number of students would decrease needing Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention based off high quality Tier 1 intervention. And basically just continuing to strengthen the instructional capabilities that our teachers have. We have fantastic professional development that is offered for our teachers, and that allows them to take our students much, much further. And really continuing to refine, evaluate everything that we do, that idea of continuous improvement, never being satisfied. And, that's really been our main focus, as well as at the bottom there, you can see even our SEL supports, looking at that, how that impacts our students in their learning. But all those things combined, working towards achievement for our students.
And, so, this is a report of achievement, right? But one of the things that I believe is really important is the fact that, in middle school, the philosophy of middle school is the development of the whole child. And with the development of the whole child, of course, we have academics covered. Our students are afforded co-curricular and extracurricular opportunities. But we also want to make sure that we are taking care of the social, emotional well-being of all of our kids. And, that could be through our outstanding school counseling team. We are so lucky, and this is a thanks to the board, to have such a dynamic student services team. As Mrs. Miller was mentioning, we work very collaboratively, with her department. But to have 3.5 school counselors and an in-house social worker and 2 school psychologists and relationships with Lakeside and relationships with our Karen Foundation, it's absolutely outstanding. And our kids know it. Our school counseling office, maybe when I was growing up, was more of like I didn't go. The traffic in our school counseling suite is amazing, and I celebrate that. I think that is absolutely important because it's just not for crisis and emergency. It's for check-ins, and it's for like, hey, what's up? And it's for just, reinforcing those relationships that our staff have with our students. But like I said, mental health supports through Lakeside. We have transition boot camps, our social worker check-ins. We just have an incredible emphasis on student care and social emotional well-being. And I could go on and on and on at the things that our staff does for our kids. But we'd be here well beyond Mr. Bechtold's time limitation that he gave us. Radnor Middle School is a great school. And one of the things that I need to be better at is I'm really hyper-focused on the color red of one specific subject area. But in listening to Dr. Kent and listening to Ms. Manuki and really celebrate the things that are in a nutshell, right, that take place in our school every single day, we are incredibly lucky to work in that building with the kids and with the staff and things like that. So, yeah, it's a great place. So thank you.
I just have a question. In terms of your red area, what are you hearing from the teachers in terms of maybe needs? And one thing that comes to mind is something, do they feel they need more time? I know that's always been, I feel like, age old that I heard back. My daughter was going through it, like they didn't have the time to focus on the writing because they had to do a certain text analysis. Are they feeling they're specific, like they're starved for time and they need more?
When I was talking with the English language arts teacher, time was not something everybody would love more time, right? But they also didn't feel that they were overly stretched for time either. I think one of the things that they needed is they needed some really granular data in which we were to provide them, right? We just didn't want to give them this, very general data and throw spaghetti at the wall and hopefully something sticks. They wanted detailed information that they could break apart in order to drive their instruction, and that's what we did as an administrative team. But time is always, could always be more beneficial, but we're also realistic as well. I think that through some of their curricular review, English language arts was under a curriculum review cycle, and curriculum was written. They did write curriculum with, of course, the standards in mind, but also the assignments. Sometimes less is more, as long as we're, you're going deep. I'm a big believer in going deeper into content instead of wider, where kids can master material instead of just being generally exposed. So roundabout way, it was more about the data that they wanted. So,
is the 6th grade, is that typical? Is that does the 6th grade English scores, are they typically further on the left for growth? Because I was thinking about the new 6th grade course that for incorporating not just the honors but
the unified course.
Right, the unified course. I was thinking about how that might factor in. Is that starting
Good question,
next year?
Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking how that might factor in, and that might maybe make these scores better.
So if you were to go back and look historically, typically, depending on what direction that you're looking at, it's typically more to the right, above the proficient, almost teetering on the light blue or the dark blue. I think that this year, to be really honest with you, was an odd year, right? Was a year that was unexpected. So.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how it'll be different next year with a new course.
And what I anticipate seeing is I anticipate that our growth is going to be increased, right? I really do, because all of our students are going to be, we're not teaching to the course, we're teaching to the kids, right? So our teachers are ready to differentiate to the best of their ability and really challenge kids, within that ELA, within the English Language Arts curriculum. So. Great.
We do have to remember that it's just the growth piece. It's not as
The
though they
achievement.
didn't do well
Right.
on the test.
Yep.
It's that, right, that's hard when you might have already high-achieving students who, may or may not be so interested in taking a standard test in April or May.
You're right.
So, we don't want to get too bogged down thinking, oh my gosh, this big red, circle it's horrifying. It's not. It's a growth indicator from something that, actually wasn't really the year, so to speak. So, I don't know.
You are
Of
you
course, it's
and you
English language arts, so
right.
I feel a little.
And you are right, because our students did it. They did achieve. They did achieve.
So I don't want
Correct.
that to be lost.
You're
in
right.
That conversation where they need a whole overhaul. I mean, I agree with you. Less sometimes is more, and we love our curriculum, we love books, and we love writing, but sometimes it is that deeper dive into one piece instead of doing two pieces. But I still think, again, it's growth and not that they didn't do well on the test.
Right.
So
And that's a great point. And thank you.
you're
for that.
welcome.
That's a very good point. And you brought up something that made me think. You did, and I think you alluded to this. You looked at the data. You disaggregated in terms of the accelerated, the people in accelerated versus non. What do we call it?
So, like our grade level,
Thank you.
just sixth grade English in comparison to where our students, where our accelerated students were. So we do that all the time.
But were they both, like, was it, did those groups, were there a difference in how they experienced growth?
In terms of growth, not necessarily. I mean, the number was much larger because the accelerated number is smaller. So I don't have the exact percentage, but it wasn't far off in terms of the percentage of students in the grade level class, which is your traditional rigorous class comparison to our accelerated. We did see similar dips in growth in both of those subcategories, if that makes sense. So it wasn't.
That would be interesting to look at next year
Yeah.
when you have the combined class.
Yeah, and that's one of the things with the unified English language arts curriculum. That's one of the things that I said is, I want to make sure that we review the data, and that of course is going to be a huge data point. Now, in terms of the STAR reports for some of the students who scored last year, we are seeing growth in both of the subgroups. So the students that tested in sixth grade last year in English language arts, I've been watching their STAR, which is the national norm benchmark that we're utilizing, and we are seeing upward trends in all of our groups from sixth grade who are currently seventh grade now. So we'll see. But we'll. I look forward to reflecting back on these students next year.
We just love hearing you use all this data.
Yeah, I wanted to also say that, we don't want to, thank you for not focusing just on the red, but to, provide information and where your focuses are. And as Dr. Kent shared with me this morning, you are the flagship of the school district, right?
That is correct.
But he
didn't get it. He didn't hear me.
And we are really, it is great to hear that, you've dug into this data. I had just a quick question, and you may not have the answer, but the cohort, which are seventh graders now, is there any anecdotal feedback from them? Do they even know that that they're part of a cohort? I know as students get individual feedback, right? They get something in the mail that says, here you are on this side. And have you heard from any kids that said, well, I was green or blue last year and now? my growth, and how does that make them feel? Is there any, and I know your support systems are fantastic, which you've outlined. Just curious if they have some kind of
So,
feelings about that.
It's funny that you say that because I was a huge proponent of data coaching with students, where kids, they realize like this is what, how they're performing, this is the assessment and things like that. And our teachers do that. So our teachers will connect with kids, most specifically about the benchmark assessments or the local assessments or the common assessments that are taking place within their room. I do not believe that we have met with kids to really get into this snapshot exam, because it is just that, that one assessment. But perhaps that is something that we weave into the data conversations. But I mean, our big thing is kids should not be passive. They should be active participants in every facet of their educational experience, and analyzing performance data is one of them. So, I mean, I think, Ms. Girton, we could definitely roll in PSSA conversations into, the typical one-on-one convos that teachers have.
Maybe it's not even appropriate. I was just wondering if you just naturally had some feedback from that cohort as to.
No, I don't have any natural off the cuff feedback. Like, I would love to grab, the student feedback, and even if it's just anecdotal, be like, how do you think things went? Like, how do you think the assessment was? Of course, once everything is sealed, signed, and delivered, right? But just to get their feedback on environment, that's something that I have not done. That would be good info.
Thank you so much, everybody. Any other?
All right. Thank you, middle school team. And we will do some musical chairs here and bring up our illustrious high school team.
Good evening again, everybody. I want to start off by saying, contrast to, I don't say popular opinion, but the high school is the flagship of the district, and we pride ourselves on that. That was my opening statement here, and we are also Grand Central Station as well. There's so much that goes on at the high school, and so what you're going to hear tonight is an achievement reports, and you're going to hear from Mr. Presley, Mrs. Rudisil, Dr. Lee, on how we are doing as a school. And I have to say, even before we dive into this presentation, just how proud I am to be the principal of such a prestigious school and working with fabulous students like Jackson and our teachers like Mrs. Peterson, who just do every day just outstanding work, and our school counselors. Today you're going to hear about not only our academic achievement, which we're super proud of, but our extracurricular achievement, our athletic achievement. I mean, we are a high school. As you see, even when you come to back to school night, we honor all of our kids with, it's not just coming back to school for academics, but it's coming back to school for our musical, for our plays, for our athletics. So we are a very unique school in that capacity. So without further ado, I will pass it off to Mr. Presley.
Sorry, guys. I thought about just speaking freely, but I felt as though it's better for me to write. So I stand before you tonight not to report on the high school, but to celebrate one. Because what our students, our teachers, shout out to you, and our community have accomplished this year deserve more than a line item in a report. It deserved to be said out loud in front of the people who made it possible, and the people who believed it was possible all along. So tonight, on my slides, I want to take you through just a few of the reasons why it is an extraordinary time to be a Radnor Raptor. So, academically, we are reaching heights we have never seen before. So, starting off with our advanced placement program this year, 92% of our students scored a 3 or higher on their AP exam, right? That's something just to sit there and just think about that. 92%. That's not just a number. That is the highest it's ever been in the school. That means that nearly every student who sat down in those exam rooms after months of college-level work, late nights, and high expectations walked out having proven they are ready for college, ready for the challenge, and ready for whatever comes next. So I wouldn't be remiss, I would be doing a disservice to this room if I did not stop and recognize the people who made it possible, our AP teachers. The men and women who showed up every single day, who pushed our students when it was hard, who believed in them when the students weren't sure enough that they believed in themselves. So that achievement belongs to them. When it comes to character and service, our National Honor Society is a force. Radnor's chapter of the National Honor Society now stands at 223 members total. And this year alone, we inducted 119 new members into that legacy. 119 young people who were recognized not just for their grades, but for their leadership, their character, and their commitment to something bigger than themselves. And speaking of commitment, our NHS students are required to complete 1,000 hours of community service annually, 100,000 hours collectively, and that do not just meet the bar, that exceeds it, serving communities across this entire area. From food pantries, tutoring programs, community events, local organizations, Radnor students are out there quietly, consistently making this community better. So they are not just the future leaders of tomorrow, they are leading it right now. Go to the next slide. Thanks. So when it comes to the arts, our students sound like they were sent from somewhere above. I've had the privilege of hearing our choir perform, and I will tell you honestly, there are moments where you forget that you're in a high school classroom, where the sound is so pure, so unified, so beautiful that the room just goes still. This year, one of our very own choral students was accepted into the American Choral Directors Association All Eastern Honors Treble Choir. Now, understanding what that means, students are selected for that honor from across the entire eastern region of this country. It's one of the most prestigious choral recognition a high school student can receive. And we have one of our Radnor students who earned it. So shout outs to them. In the Radnor choir world, I will say that this, without exaggeration, this is historic. This is a moment that students, this program, and the community will remember for a very long time. When it comes to our Black Student Union, they're doing something powerful in the community, and it should be noted. Our BSU is not just a club, it's a movement within our school. Every week, our BSU students gather, not because they have to, but because they want to. They sit together, they talk, they ask questions about their history and how to share it with everyone else. They create space for curiosity, for pride, and for connections in a way that enriches their entire school community. Every February, they bring us the Black Speaker Series, and every year it gets better. This year, our students sat with speakers who have lived extraordinary lives and built extraordinary things, and they've heard firsthand what it looks like to navigate this world with purpose and resilience. Our students left those sessions informed, inspired, and seen. And then they went a little bit farther. Our BSU students took a trip to Washington, D.C. and made their way to Howard University, one of the crown jewels of historically Black colleges and universities. And what happened there, some of the students were accepted right on the spot. Our BSU students are building cultural awareness, academic ambition, and a sense of identity that will carry them far beyond these walls. They deserve every bit of recognition we can give them. Next. So, our athletes. It was kind of hard to choose. It was really hard. So, I don't even know where to begin. But I'll be honest with you. I sat down to prepare this portion of the speech, and I thought I'll just highlight one or two. Didn't go too well. And then I looked at what our teams have done this year, and I realized I cannot do that. I cannot stand here and single out one group of young people who have, when all of them have given everything they have, because here is what people don't always say when they talk about athletic achievement. These kids are not just athletes, they are students. They are carrying rigorous coursework, AP classes, NHS obligation, extracurricular commitment, and then they are putting on a uniform and competing at a high level, week after week, season after season. That takes discipline, that takes sacrifice. that takes a kind of grit that cannot be taught in a classroom. It has to be lived. So to every Radnor team, every coach, every athlete who gives their time and their effort and their heart to representing the school this year, this applause goes to them. And again, before I move on to our other colleagues, sorry for taking too long, we are not resting, we are not satisfied, but we are building, and this foundation has never been stronger before. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and I dressed with intention this evening to make up for my colleague, not necessarily dressing with intention, but I wore a shirt deliberately to demonstrate how lucky we are as administrators to work with such a talented group of students, educators, support staff across the district, but especially in our high school. So I want to highlight some of our academic achievement that is truly beyond compare. This data here with our SAT and ACT scores is relative to their performance over several years running. As you can see, there is growth from the 2024 to the 2025 scores in both categories of verbal and math, with a total average score of 1301 out of a possible 1600. And I want to highlight this because the national average is 1,029 with a 521 on verbal and a 508 on math. Radnor scores, it should come as no surprise, are typically over 100 points higher than the national average, which is a testament to the excellent instruction and support provided by our teachers and staff and the hard work that our stellar students are putting into their academics. Our ACT scores are 10 points higher than the national average of 19.4 out of a possible 36.
Can I say something very quickly?
Of course.
So I just
He's
want
going to say it anyway.
I'm going to say it anyways. So I do want to say that I'm going to be highlighting a few students this week. We have several in our building that have perfect ACT scores, and I found that out just this afternoon. I know of a few students, and there are a couple more. So I'm going to put them out on our Instagram to honor those students. But perfect ACT.
I feel like Dr. McNamara could have shared that information with me to have included in this report, but that's okay. I'll let him have his thunder. Our AP report shows that just over 40% of our Radnor High School students are taking an AP exam, and roughly 30% of all Radnor High School students taking an AP exam earn the recognition of being an AP Scholar of Distinction, meaning that these students are taking 3 or more AP exams, earning an average score of 3.5 or higher. So here's a little bit more statistical information. So approximately 300 students nationally out of more than 4.8 million students who are taking AP exams are identified as AP Scholars of Distinction, meaning that our Radnor High School scholars are among the top 7% of AP exam takers nationally. This again reflects our strong curriculum, our strong instructional practices, and our amazing students. We are continuing, but we also need to highlight that we are continuing to make progress towards surpassing our 2023 verbal score, which is a little bit higher than our current score. So one other area of celebration that's not necessarily reflected on this, but it is the behind-the-scenes information, is how our teachers, our social emotional counselors, and our college and career counselors work diligently to ensure that our students are appropriately challenged by our AP offerings and accessing resources to ensure success with their SAT and ACT exams. So truly, the work is a very collaborative effort between all parts of the school, from the counseling support to the instruction in the classroom, to the students' hard work, both in the school and on their own time, while also managing the load of extracurriculars, obligations, athletics, and other interests. And I will pass this along to my thunder-stealing team.
So this slide shows our Keystone scores in Algebra 1, Literature, and Biology. I would like to point out our sample size for each test. So in school year 23-24, 137 students took Algebra 1 Keystone exam in 8th grade. So our sample size for Keystone Algebra 1 exam is 140, but our sample size for Keystone Literature and Biology is 250 students. So due to limited time, I would like to point that we want to continue to improve our percentage for advanced and proficient group as we continue to reduce our percentage for basic and below basic. So in Algebra 1, we have a 4.1% increase from year 2024 to year 2025. And that means 5 more students got scored as advanced in Keystone Algebra 1. So I'm not going to go over all groups, but we want to point out that our faculty and staff has been committed to help our students to learn at their highest potential and make continuous improvements in our Keystone results. The next slide is showing the data that 90.8% of our students got proficient or advanced in Keystone literature. When we look at this graph, all our subgroups are making positive momentum except our Asian subgroup students. So in 2024, 95.1% of Asian students got proficient or advanced, but in 2025, that was 89.7%. So that is actually 14 students got scored for proficient or advanced between these 2 years. We want to continue to work with our teachers and staff to make continuous improvements for our Asian student subgroup. The next slide is showing that 84.3% of our students got scored proficient and advanced. That percentage is because of the sample size. 137 students took Keystone Algebra 1 exam in 8th grade, so those students do not take Keystone Algebra 1 when they enter high school. So all our subgroup students are making positive momentum, but in Asian subgroup, only 2 students did not score for proficient and advanced compared to the previous school year. So again, we are here to make continuous improvements. So we will look at those details and work with our Asian subgroup students. The next slide is showing our significant academic growth that we made in all Keystone subject areas. And if you look at that crescent looking off the chart, that is showing that 100% of our students exceeded significant academic growth that state identified for us. And our PVAS color was green last school year, and our English department teachers worked very hard to make continuous improvement, and this year our PVAS color is light blue. The next slide is showing that both in Keystone Literature and Algebra, we are dark blue. We are very proud of our academic growth, and we will continue to work hard to challenge our students to learn at their highest potential. Next is Dr. Matt.
We really are proud of our data, and it really is a testament to all of our teachers. And again, even just means that we have Ms. Peterson here with our English group going from green to light blue. I mean, it's just, that's where we were this time last year. So we were always looking to improve. But I will tell you that, you know, we're not a perfect school. And we always have areas that we can improve and how we can get better. And so without going over every bullet here, we have different areas that we want to focus on. And one of those is continuing to improve a sense of belonging, a morale in the building, so that when all students walk in, they do feel like they have a place that they can call home. I mean, it's exactly why we have the Student of the Month wall right when you walk into school, because we want our young people to feel like they belong here and we can acknowledge those individuals. We want to continue to focus on our student and staff have climate surveys. That's real good data for us to have. And how are we doing as a school? Do our kids feel like they're welcomed? Do our teachers feel like they are being supported? So these are different areas that we are looking at as we are looking to improve. With the next slide, Mr. Bechtold, but we still have, again, work to do. As we said, we're not, Dr. Lee mentioned that we have the moon phase at the very end. So there are areas that we are not there, you know, so we are going to continue to look with our steering committee that Dr. Lee works with to figure out, okay, what professional development do we need to continue to do to improve our building? I mean, our students are ever changing. Where Jackson's sitting right now, and Jackson's a different student than we were when we were in 2009, and 2008, and 2011, and 1990. I mean, we are always evolving. So we want to use our groups here to stay ahead of the curve to make those improvements so we can increase our subgroups. We also want to continue to take a look at how can we work with our historically underperforming students? Where are we with those young people? How can we get them across the finish line as well to help them meet that growth? And we want to encourage as well our young people to take our diverse elective courses that we have. So these are areas that we want to take a look at as we are continuing to make improvement. Again, one thing we did this school year was for our elective courses, was we had an electives fair to really promote the courses that we have for students to take. We have so many to offer. And for us, it's really, really important that we meet our kids and we can have them right where they're supposed to be with the courses that they are taking.
So in order to make continuous improvements, our MTSS team would like to continue to collaborate with the faculty and staff to improve our educational practices based on our students' data and needs. In order to provide both data-driven and differentiated instruction, we are going to continue to participate in professional development to reflect our educational practices and find out how we can support our students effectively. The next slide shows our support system at Radnor High School. We are very proud that we provide comprehensive support to ensure that we are providing appropriate support, access, opportunities for all students that we serve at Radnor High School. The next slide includes what kind of support we have, and we want to highlight our student assistant program that we have, and our teachers, staff, and parents can refer students to our student assistant program team, and we are here to support our students to be more successful at Radnor High School.
So with that, we can open it up to some questions and feedback.
I'll start. First of all, thank you so much, all four of you. It's so wonderful to hear a presentation from different aspects of what's happening in the high school. And I am really curious, Jackson, as you are right in the high school, what is your kind of immediate feedback for how you think things are going?
Yeah, I think that things are going extremely well, and I feel like all this data really represents that well. I noticed with my friends such an amount of rigor and an amount of effort that they want to put into their academics, not just for like college and for their future, but I think that just like building their own skills, and I think that's really interesting to see. Just how hard people are working, and it really shows through this data. I think that the fact that we inducted 119 new members to NHS is a very incredible feat, and the 92% of the students scoring above 3% in their AP exam, that just, I feel like that's shows how much how well our teachers are doing in teaching our AP classes, and just shows our success at Radnor High School. And I feel like it's a really, really great place to learn. I think that just continuing to focus on student well-being and belonging, which I really appreciate all of your efforts in doing that, because creating a, environment where people are, where they feel accepted and they feel happy to come to school every day really changes a lot. So yeah, thank you guys.
And one thing I do want to add, thank you, Jackson, that we didn't mention in the presentation was one area that we really have to improve on is how our kids are feeling when they walk into school. I mean, there's so much pressure our young people put on each other. I need to be at this university, I need to go here, they have to have the highest of GPAs. And for us, I see it firsthand. When I hold my student forum that I hold once a month with our student leaders, especially during midterm time and finals time and AP time, there's this sense that I need to be the best. And if I'm not the best, then I'm last. And it kind of breaks my heart when I hear that. When I talk with our kids and I say, well, what can we do as a school to help you guys? It's not even really us putting pressure. I think it's a lot of the culture where our young people are putting it on themselves. And I see it in their faces when they walk in. A lot of our kids are stressed. That's why we have our Wellness Wednesdays. That's why we're bringing puppies in tomorrow. If you were there at the beginning, we're trying to do something to really help our young people. So that is something that we as a team and our teachers and our staff, our Lakeside support, our school counselors, our SEL, we have to take a look at that. And in my opinion, that's one of the biggest areas where we need to make improvement is having our young people come in, feel supported, but not feel this overwhelming stress. And that's where I think we need to improve.
Yeah, I feel like I wish more people knew what you just said, how I feel like a lot of people are kind of talking about the Radnor pressure, pressure from teachers, when it's really not pressures from teachers. It's just it's the culture and just everyone being so competitive with each other. It's kind of just this culture. It's not just it's not Radnor specific, and it's not just the teachers.
Yeah.
Data can be a double-edged sword, right? They have score. We talk about they're introduced to score. So they see it. They see what the data tells them, right? We're teaching them to be data-driven analysis, right? So they know. So it is, but letting them know that, all the programming that we can do to say, it's okay, right? There's lots of good places to land, and you're building your skills, like you said, not just for the grade, but for kind of what the love of learning, right? And the habits of building a curious mind, and the discipline that goes into it. But I think, we have to recognize the reality that we also provide them with a lot of data, and they're pretty smart. Yeah. They read the data. Yeah. So.
And how do we guard against the arms race of competition for kids? It's definitely a thing, right? That your kids feel and you all feel it. Yeah. And, are there things that we can do to, kind of unpack that a little bit? And what I hear in your voice, Jackson, is that you're super proud of all the accomplishments, and we are too. It's amazing. But at some point, always room to improve, but is some improvement meant to sort of unwind a bit of the race to the top?
And again, I think that's what I'm really proud of our school counselors who really think outside the box on our Lakeside. What can we do during the day to offer some of that relief? We've even offered yoga sessions. We've offered different craft things where it's hot chocolate and crafts, and it's just different things that we can do during lunch and learn to just be like, hey guys, it's all good, and let's come together.
I think I'd like to share something. So this year we took a strong look at how midterms apply a certain level of stress and pressure, and I was very fortunate to work with a really great group of teachers, which Ms. Peterson was part of, and we took a look at ways that we can restructure the midterms. We believe that midterms are important. It does lend students the opportunity to feel the collegiate pressure at those high-stakes exams that are not nationally normed, right? But the teachers and I sat and really looked at what could we do creatively, keeping the integrity of holding those midterms, but relieving a little bit of the pressure. And, you know, I'm very, very proud of the team, and especially of the English department, for being so willing to be creative and restructure that schedule. And, you know, while we haven't done it yet, I would be very interested to know, you know, Jackson, and this is where you can kind of help us, is how did the restructuring of our midterm exams support students feeling a little bit less of that intense pressure in that very concentrated schedule?
Wait, so are you talking about if the
So-
difference this year in the AP exams?
No.
I mean, not, oh my
For
gosh, my
midterms,
bad.
yeah.
For midterms.
where
In terms of,
where we shifted the English exams
Right.
to being held within the classroom setting, within a block setting, separate and apart from the concentrated 3 days of block. And then instead of having 2 exams daily, on the very first day, on that Friday, they had 2 exams. And then the following Monday, well, what should have been Monday and Tuesday, but was actually snow, the following 2 days of testing, it was only 1 exam each day.
right. I can't fully speak on that because during the midterm exam, I had like a Model UN conference that was like conflicting with that, so I had to
That's correct.
take my midterms at like in like the black box like I think like the next week, and then like I had to
Correct.
take
Yeah.
multiple.
Thank you to Mother Nature
one
and the
day.
snow.
Right. Yeah. So that was a bit chaotic, but I think that in terms of having the English during a block day, I feel like that's really effective, so that they aren't having to sit for another midterm, especially when a lot of these English midterms, well, at least from what I like from my perspective and what from like I've heard friends about, was mostly like an essay. So I feel like that's a lot different. And I think being in the classroom setting, like with your familiar, you know, teacher and stuff, I feel like that's more helpful to, like, instead of a proctor, like having like your teacher there for English. And yeah, I would encourage getting more student feedback on the midterms. I can talk to some other people as well. And yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Ms. Peterson, do you have a thought on sort of the restructuring of the midterms?
From the English department, we liked it because, as everyone knows, I will shout out to the rooftops, we are the only 4-year requirement in high school. So students have to pass 4 years of English to get a diploma. So for us, it was nice to have the ability to do an alternate alternate exam if we wanted to, because we were in control of our own classroom. And so I can just speak for my class because I had my kids performing Shakespeare. We were doing performances of Macbeth, and Mr. Presley was in there to see it. They were amazing. These were kids who knew it was for a grade. They knew they had to, put their, be prepared with costuming and know their lines. I mean, I didn't make them memorize everything, but there were some groups that were clearly well memorized than others. It was amazing. I could not have done that as a midterm if we didn't have this type of schedule, because it allowed me to test many modalities, to look at all of my state standards, because then they did a reflection. So there was a writing piece attached with it as well. So there was performance, which is speaking. There was listening, which is the audience. There's reading and writing, because we had to read the play before we could even do the performances. And I did it with some students who struggled. They were scared to death. And it was so rewarding to see them get up in front of their peers in the classroom to be able to perform. So I could not have been able to do that. I know some other teachers did some classroom discussions as part of the midterm in conjunction with a traditional test. So it allows us to look at the students that we have in front of us and assess as a benefit to them, not just here's a test with a random proctor for 90 minutes and run around, in 5 different classes. It was really a wonderful experience that I'm hoping we can improve upon, even more next year.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
no, go ahead.
I feel like it would be interesting to see how this could be applicable to not just the English classes. I feel like having some, like maybe like a midterm, like, I don't know, just off the top of mind, if there's like, for science, if there's like a midterm and it's like a lab, because like you couldn't just do like a with a proctor, you can just do a lab like by yourself and then have like do a whole experiment. But I think that maybe asking other departments if there are more creative ways that they can present a midterm other than like the just another test, because I think that that can all these tests generally elevate the stress levels of all our students, and so maybe having something that's different from that or more reflective of the actual course. So just something to consider.
Excellent feedback. Thank you. Thank you both.
Part of the stress of midterms also the weight that we put on. Right. I think that is, I've said it. I mean, we have a high stake test, which I understand, and the cumulative piece, which I think does prepare our kids because that is what they're going to go on to college. But we weight them in such a way that I think creates that stress. And in addition, there's no other time, like I know from my own children during that time period, they were really busy. They might be at a swim meet till 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night and have a high stake test the next day. And it was when the schedule was boom, boom, boom. And you would never do that in college because when you take the high stake test, you also have study days and prep days. And we give it at the end for the midterms, but we don't have it necessarily for the midterms. So I just think we have it for finals, but we don't have it for midterms. So
Thank you.
I think we could reimagine the midterms.
Yeah, just adding on to what Ms. Duffy said. I think that a lot of students feel a certain amount of stress and a certain amount of maybe frustration at the fact that they are weighted, I think like 10% for midterms and finals. And I think a lot of frustration comes from the fact that like other schools in the surrounding areas don't have them at all. And then like here, like at our school, like we have them weighted. So like towards your GPA, which I think causes a little bit of frustration. So yeah, maybe, just having more discussions with students about it.
Amazing.
Yeah, I had a question. The data is to be celebrated for sure. And in the classes, have we disaggregated in terms of the classes that we, what am I looking for? Consolidation, the consolidation courses, and did we look at how those students did?
Yeah, so
in terms of growth?
Yeah, so actually our consolidating academic levels has produced positive growth data for our students in all testing areas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
It's great to hear.
All right. Anyone else have any thoughts or comments? Thank you
I
all.
just had one other question, and this really is more when we go to the achievement report and you look at all the data with the AP scores and stuff. Do the teachers get together and talk about best practices? Like, do we look at like teacher-specific performance? And I know that's like kind of a tricky area because I don't want to. I'm not pitting, but like ones that are highly successful. Like, is there because I know a lot of the AP course is just the schedule, right? The rigor of the schedule and getting all of it. But are we looking at that data saying how are it consistently performing, and are there lessons to be learned, of best practices and collaboration amongst the teachers in different subject matters?
So at the high school, we have data team that has data team meeting every single day whenever we have that third period happening. And data team presented our data with all Keystone teachers. We had a meeting for each subject, Algebra 1 Keystone, Literature Keystone, and Biology Keystone. And in that meeting, we had deep dive on our data. And also, each teacher receives a PBAS color from PDE, and we looked at all that color individually with an administrator, and we talked about what went so well with this group of students that was taught by this teacher, and how can we collaborate with each other to continue to improve our practices in all classrooms. And we also prepared our PowerPoint slides for all Keystone teachers to understand what's going to happen with our online Keystone exam in May. And we are also helping our students to practice what's ahead for their online Keystone exam so that our students are successful. So we have that collaborative conversation with each other all the time because educators are lifelong learners, and we are going to reflect our educational practices to make continuous improvements at Radnor High School. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a great night, everybody. I know Mr. Bechtold keeps you to a pretty tight presentation schedule, so I'm sure he's proud. A belt of brevity, right, Dr. Batchelor? Okay, so I guess we're moving on to new business. Any new business? And how about some public comment? Seeing none. Our next meeting will be April 14th at 5 o'clock in the garden room. Everyone have a great night.